Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you today. Uphold offering OTC institutional custody, baby. What could it mean for you? We're going to talk about it. We got USD Tether in the news. Ripple escrow, Ripple's Brook Entwhistle, and the highest standards. You're going to want it. XRP potentially an e-SDR. And how about this? Ripple private roadshow? Oh, please do tell. And how about this one? XRP, possible $15? I like it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, the market is $1.19 trillion. It is up 1.2%. Right now, Bitcoin 27,100 plus, Ethereum 1892, almost 1,900 bucks, and Tether market cap 83.3 billion. That's got to be a part of the new all-time high right there. XRP sitting at 51 cents right now, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? 51 cents. I am liking what I'm seeing. And you know what? We'll keep an eye on it. But, you know, we're going to look at some TA before we get out here today. And you're going to want to see it. And before we do, I want to remind you, people are joining the Digital Perspectives Mastermind group. And not only do you get the full access to the private Telegram, private weekly live streams, private groups and lessons, wealth creation, mindset courses, an incredible community that is involved in some serious critical thinking. And I tell you, the community inside of this group is what truly makes it a mastermind. I know that your life is busy. I know that you can't put the 14, 16 hours a day in. You know what? You don't have to, because in this group, we're going to get you where you need to be. You're going to get the tools you need. And this is the time when real wealth is built. During the suppression of a market, during the downturn, this is the time to really take advantage of this special offer, 3-day free trial. Get yourself in the group, make the investment in yourself. You're not going to believe the opportunities that we're going to be bringing to you that I can't even talk about in here. Click that link and join. Uphold launches OTC trading for XRP and other assets, providing institutional investors with extensive insights and superior liquidity for optimal trade execution. Well, let me tell you something. This sounds like to me that once everybody becomes a whale, if you need to make a market and you want some institutional love, you can get it at Uphold. How about that one? Click the link for that underneath the video. Listen to what XRP Mickle Market says here, and I think he's got it spot on, and it goes to this whole speaking of, listen, we know that AMMs have been introduced to the ledger. We're going to have the ability to lock up our XRP and earn a return. And I tell you, it is going to be a meaningful opportunity. I really do believe that. And not only that, it's going to help provide, I believe, a stabilization of price, because the reality is I've always believed that there could be like a price set or a price floor of XRP. And the more people that lock up this XRP and AMMs, the more you're going to stabilize the price. Not just because you're locking up all of these assets, but because the automated market makers take care, they tighten the arbitrage, right? So you're really tightening the spread as well as locking up the value of the asset. This is a remarkable, remarkable opportunity. And I want you to hear what Mickle Market says right here, and give this guy a follow if you haven't done so. Super bright. Check it out.
If XRP can get the clarity from this court case that it needs for institutions to adopt it, we could see Ripple doing some massive things in terms of using Medico on the back end to custody assets to help onboard their customers into a DeFi market built on the XRP ledger. This could be an absolute game changer for the cryptocurrency market, and rather having Ethereum being the king of DeFi, we could see Ethereum as the king of retail DeFi, but we could see the XRP ledger as the king of institutional DeFi, which is a market that is order of magnitudes larger.
It absolutely is. And shout out to Mickle Markets for that. And I also want to really impress the idea to add to his conversation and comments here is that, think about the retail holder being able to lock up their assets. But to speak to what he's saying, I absolutely agree. You can't match the institutional level of money that's going to pour into here when financial institutions and banks alike really get the clarity they need to use this asset completely. Then you're talking about really coming at this thing from both ends of the candle. That's what excites me. There's been a lot of divisiveness in this space through this downturn where people either believe you think it's a grassroots movement or you think it's going to be the central banks that make it happen. Why not both? Because it is. You can clearly see that they are developing solutions to bring remedies, to bring liquidity to the network from all sides. And that is the game. David Schwartz himself said they started with a grassroots approach, then they went to the top down, then they felt like they bit off a little more than they could chew, so they came back down to remittances because banks were sluggish to move towards it. But at some point, legal clarity is going to kick that log jam open. And then you're going to have it coming from both ends. And what in the world is so wrong with that? Nothing at my house. Right here, USD Tether stablecoin, as we said in this morning's number, is at an all-time high here. It is 83.3 billion plus now, recovering all its losses since the implosion of blockchain project Terra more than a year ago. I also want to add that the Tether has announced that they're going to start doing Bitcoin mining with the profits. Again, Tether is one of these things that everybody think it's so big, it's too big to fail, or it's so big and it's been here so long that it can't possibly have something happen to it. I just remind everybody, the U.S. government, the private Federal Reserve Bank, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Treasury, none of them have blessed this thing. So until that actually happens, this market doesn't have the solid on and off ramp that we really truly can rely on. Another reason I believe Ripple can become a better version of the Fed, exercising good stewardship and sound monetary policy, because Ripple locked up $900 million after the $1 billion release of the XRP account shortly after escrow was released, 1 billion tokens for June. $900 million went back into lockup. Shout out to Ripple for all they do. They don't dump on the market. We all know that. And to speak to the kind of clarity, transparency, and responsibility, fiduciary responsibility to their customers, nobody operates at a higher standard than Ripple. Let Brooks Entwhistle tell you why.
Right reporting and the right structures, legally, but also technically, and it's a co-creation, and I think that is the key of where a lot of this so far has been able to fall down, is the lack of correct sort of integration in that co-creation. So it's not a fully legal angle, and I don't think that regulation and compliance is at all like a solve all. It's integration between technology, education, and then that legal, regulatory, compliance, governance piece.
Thanks. Actually, Brooks, I wanted to bring you to maybe react to this and see if you agree that in order to rebuild trust in the system, that there are certain consumer protections that need to be put in place. And when Jorn talked about sort of the three priorities in terms of identity, the assets, and the consumer protection, would you rank them similarly? Would you prioritize sort of the focus on trust rebuilding in a different way?
Absolutely. I think it's a great framework and setup. I think everything we've done by building this cross-border financial services payment network has been and had to have been built on trust in these elements. One of our first use cases on RippleNet, the network, was the remittance business. And for a Saudi oil worker to send their entire paycheck across our network to be paid out in the Philippines and then delivered to a village counts on our partners on both sides of that network with our technology in the middle. And we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that anyone on RippleNet or any market we're operating in is absolutely up to the highest standards, which means we absolutely have firm lines in the sand about any markets that are under sanctions or anything along those lines. And so I think you've got to You've got to do that, and you've got to stay with it, and you've got to stay with it through all these ups and downs that we're going through as an industry, and just be super consistent with that as your North Star. And so I wouldn't disagree with that framework at all, and it's really how we've had to build it. The minute you have a bad actor on your network or a market that you haven't fully vetted, and something goes wrong, you can watch your volumes decrease immediately because the whole trust breaks down in that. And I would like to echo, Jorn said something I think that's really important about this. We're all kind of dealing with the blowback for the last 6 months or 8.
And that's where you have it. And listen, let's understand that Ripple is taking the long road here. They're going for clarity. They're going for transparency. They're going for fiduciary responsibility to their customers. They're operating at the highest standards. That's why I do believe that John Deaton was right. The SEC versus Ripple was a weapon. But as he just said the other day, and I believed it all along, it will turn out to work in their favor, because I believe it would slingshot us to the front of the line with legal clarity, because we've gone through the tough journey that other projects have not. And that may just open the door for something like this at some point in the future here. Electronic Special Drawing Right. This is the SDR that is issued by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, in connection with the World Bank. It is really like a money or bond note that they lend to countries. People cannot get it. And then when they lend that, you can exchange it for whatever currency is in the SDR basket, of which there are 5 major currencies. You can draw against that note, right? Now, here is the OMFIF, excuse me. So many acronyms in this space. But nevertheless, it is an international financial think tank, essentially. And they discussed the SDR and electronic SDR, right, and how it could work. And they also discuss the possibility of the John Maynard Keynes Bancor currency, a supranational currency. You can see right here, right? And you can see how it's discussed how something like any other national currency in 2 steps via stablecoin, such an arrangement would resemble cross-border payment system that Ripple currently operates with its XRP cryptocurrency, and is just one of a variety of possible alternatives. Any democratic alternative should allow for private sector solutions. Multi-currency corridors, for instance, should not rule out the use of regulated private stablecoins or cryptocurrencies, even though such solutions might require additional regulation as discussed. I've always believed that whether it's the OMFIF or that university report there, I've always believed that the role of the XRP asset, the currency, the digital asset, is to ultimately serve as a world reserve currency. But first it has to prove out as a payment token, which I believe it's been doing for the last 12 years. And happy birthday to the XRP ledger, by the way. Then it has to prove out as an effective bridge currency. And then it gets enough liquidity, enough locked up value, helping to solve the problem and make transactions, and then the clarity to go with it. And yes, I do believe you could see it graduate to a role where it could serve as a bridge currency for the world. Why wouldn't it? Listen, the reason that I believe these things is because Ripple in the early days and the XRP Ledger creators spoke of these things. And I've never lost my enthusiasm for it. Now let's talk about this. This is Kitco Gold Company here, talking with this gentleman who's talking about the staggering amount of the budget and legal resources that the SEC is using just to fight the Ripple case alone.
The amount of budget and legal resources that it takes them just to do the Ripple lawsuit is staggering. And also, the SEC is understaffed. I was talking to a lawyer who doesn't have any inside info, but I was talking to a lawyer that felt that a huge amount of their entire legal resources was just wrapped up in the Ripple lawsuit. And so, like, how are they even going to go after X, Y, and Z? Obviously, they're pushing for funding. They're trying to expand it. But, like, the amount of budget and legal resources that it takes them just to do the Ripple lawsuit is staggering.
And it is staggering. And you know what? I also believe it's either already done and we're waiting for the deadline of the decision to be given, or it's so close that we can't tell the difference. No doubt about it. Brad Garlinghouse himself has said that this thing is weeks away from being over, and he's extremely confident. And I remind people of this, that Eleanor Terrett is breaking this now from Linda P. Jones. In April, Ripple hosted a private roadshow. If you don't know, a roadshow is what you do publicly when you're about a couple weeks away from going public. But a private roadshow is more like a marketing event where a company and its underwriters meet with potential investors to generate interest in the IPO itself. I'm told it was attended by just about every reputable institutional investment firm on the street. Well, let me tell you, no finer time to tell you right now than there is a Ripple crunch for equity on Link 2, which is where you can get the private equity shares of Ripple through the SPV offering. And let me tell you, it is going to run out very quickly because it is getting very limited. And it is being said in a letter that I just received this morning that there is less than 50,000 shares, and because of the demand and because of the trend that everybody believes that an IPO is on the horizon after this decision from the SEC and Judge Torres here, it is believed that it will be extremely difficult to get a hold of going forward, if not at all. So if you intend to get private equity of Ripple, I would do it right now. Click the link. You got to be accredited underneath the video. Now let's take a look at this before we get out of here. This is Egg Rag Crypto, says the bent fork, as you can see with these lines here, $15 and historical support. Introducing the intriguing journey of XRP symbolized by the bent fork, a roadmap with 4 distinct tracks. Track A down here is the major historical support. Track B is the ranging support that you see. And track C is the mid-cycle support. You can see the circles here where they touch, right? And track A with major historical support right here at these peaks, which would put it at $15 here. And that, if that timeline is right, which we don't know, right? It could be here, it could be there. We don't know where it is. But you know, I tend to think that when this ruling comes in, we're going to see a lag between the price indicator and the actual clarity that we get. Hopefully, that's what we're looking for. Look, that's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspective. I'll catch all of you on the next one.